Today I have a surprise for you. Hogwarts students and professors, even Professor Snape, will share the type of journal they keep. I'll also show you all the journals I've been secretly tucking under my pillow since I was a kid and share all the benefits from journaling I've learned over the 15 years. And the best part, you'll finally meet my mischievous classroom familiar. Come on in, witches and wizards, welcome and take your soft seats. I'm Professor Sophie, your guide to practical magic here at Hogwarts. I'm here to teach you spells to live softer and happier lives. We meet every 2 weeks on Fridays, so tap the subscribe button to have your snowy owl deliver your class invitation right on time. Fall evenings can be chilly, so wrap yourself in a cozy blanket and soon your cups will fill with something warm. Ready? Let's begin! I almost get teary anytime I say my cat because I've dreamt about him since I was a kid. He came to me on a full moon night and I call him Moony. His fur reminds me of moon craters and his little paws remind me of sunlit spots on the moon. He's named after my favorite Hogwarts professor and it suits him perfectly because he is mischievous at times, like right now, but always comforting when I need it, just like Lupin offering chocolate after the mentor's chill. Moony follows me everywhere, making sure I don't wander too far into the forest of my own thoughts. And I love him to the moon and back. And from now on, he'll be attending all our classes, making sure we all feel cozy together. Please write in the comments if you had any pet or if you have any pet. It will help this video reach more witches and wizards, and also it will give me a chance to record one more video for you. Alright, I think it's time to show you my journals. 1 second. These are my 9 journals from my childhood. Look at the covers and let's see how they changed over time. Honestly, I picked anything that was in the store back then. There was no online shopping, no fancy choices, but it was never about the covers anyways. It was about the stories inside. This is my very first journal. If you asked me how the idea of journaling came to me, I would say it felt natural. It was almost inevitable. I grew up watching teen movies where a girl lies in a bed in her pajamas, scribbling in her diary, while a soft voiceover whispers her secrets. She would wonder if the boy at school would ever notice her, until her mom's footsteps made her quickly hide her diary under her pillow. To me, that ritual felt romantic, and honestly, it still does. When I was 13, I think I just really wanted to talk to someone. My parents didn't really feel like an option. My mom was wonderful at taking care of me. She cooked for me, she made sure my clothes were clean and ironed. She helped me with my homework, even wrote my essays. She did all she could. But one thing she never really did, and maybe it isn't even fair to call it responsibility, was simply talking to me. She was busy after all. We were a big family and she had so much on her plate, full-time work, house chores, kids. And my dad would ask me some questions, but those questions were always the same. How was your school and what marks did you get at school? And over the years, when I was studying like Hermione Granger and always had good marks, he stopped asking even that because he knew I was doing fine. It's a little sad, but I don't blame them. I think they just weren't taught to talk to their children. And I had so many things to appreciate that I simply don't have place in my heart to blame them. At school, I had amazing friends, but most of the time we would laugh together. I actually miss that laugh because I hardly laugh that much anymore. With my siblings, we played and had fun, but we didn't really talk either. So in the end, there wasn't anyone I truly talked to. And maybe that's why I started writing, to finally have that conversation with someone. even if that someone was just a page. And little by little, page started talking back. No, I didn't go crazy. It started to talk back in ideas, in answers I didn't know I already have inside me. I would always write the date, then I would glue a sticker representing the weather, and then I would write something like, today I felt sick and I stayed home, we drank tea and my mom made the yummiest fried potatoes. Just one look at that entry and I can almost smell the potatoes sizzling in the pan. I wish I could step back into that moment, even for a second. What I loved most about journaling was decorating with little doodles and tiny sketches. As I grew older, my journals shifted. Suddenly, they were full of stories about boys, new friendships, and changes, like, for example, moving to the dormitory. I won't give you a full flip through because they are far too personal. Not even my husband has read them, but I will share little snippets to let you peek into my journaling journey. For 10 years, journaling was my daily ritual. And then adulthood arrived. And I guess I was busy being an adult and too busy for my journal. I didn't have time to write long entries anymore, but I couldn't let journaling go, so I adjusted it to fit the new me. Now my pages became deeper, more intentional. I wrote reflection on one theme at a time. For example, a year in review, or what happiness means to me, or what triggers me, what triggers my emotions, what makes a person beautiful. My journal isn't pretty anymore. No doodles or colorful spreads, but this journal gives me clarity, comfort, and I think a bit more time. And when I'm reflecting on some topic, I usually have so many thoughts that I often draft them digitally, edit them, and then I copy polished version into my journal. And since I've been journaling for so many years in all kinds of ways through different stages of life, I've started to see clear patterns. Based on that experience, I've defined the main benefits journaling has given me. First of all, I would say that it untangles the yarn ball in my head. You know how sometimes your thoughts get all tangled up like a big messy ball of yarn? That can happen when you feel sad, mad, jealous, or confused. Everything mixes together and it's hard to think straight. Writing in a journal is like taking that messy ball of yarn and spreading it out on the floor. I can look at each thread one by one and figure out without feeling panicked. It makes all the messy feelings feel lighter and easier to handle. This is how my thoughts look like in my head, and this is how they look on paper. Second benefit is that it lets me see myself with fresh eyes. When I read what I wrote, and I always read what I write, I imagine it's my friend's story. And then it's much easier to give advice to my friend, to be nicer, to be kinder, and to understand what happened. Third good benefit is that it gives me a listener I don't have to protect, or a listener I can open up to. Sometimes there are things I don't want to tell my family or friends. Maybe it's too personal, or I just don't want to worry anyone. My journal is always there for me. It always listens, never judges, never interrupts, and it never gets tired. And sometimes you might not have anyone to talk to at all, and it's okay. And your journal can be that friend who always listens. Maybe it's not that significant, but it soothes my nervous system. These days, people don't write anymore. Everyone types, right? And when I write with a pen, my racing thoughts start to slow down. My body relaxes, my brain takes a little break, and overall I feel calmer. And fifth benefit that I just had to mention is that it lets me romanticize ordinary life. I like to imagine I'm living in a time without computers or phones, just me, pen, and a journal. And all the things I write about, they feel like a part of a story. And one more benefit that I just thought about, I didn't write it when I was preparing to the video, is that it actually helped me remember my life better. I don't know. Everything fades over time, all the memories from childhood, from university times, but I remember everything. Like, not everything, but I remember it more brightly that I would remember it without my journals. Now that you know all the benefits of journaling, you might be thinking, but what if I'm not into self-reflection journals? Don't worry, there are plenty of other ways to make journaling fit you. I prepared a surprise for you, and I have to admit that I had to drink about 5 bottles of Felix Felicis to convince my colleagues and students to share what they shared. This morning, an owl brought me a stack of 23 letters. I pinned them all onto my enchanted board, and we will reveal them one by one. Each student or professor shared their favorite type of journal, and maybe it will inspire you to start your own. So, shall we see the first one? Ginny Weasley. I would recommend keeping a diary. It feels like a friend you can tell everything to. But word of caution, I thought mine was just a diary too, until it started writing back, and it turned out to be Tom Riddle's. Ginny is talking about diary, and diary is a classic journal. It's like a brain dump or a personal blog if you want. Write anything that's on your mind. Just maybe keep a basilisk fang nearby. Luna Lovegood. I recommend Morning Pages journal. You just write whatever pops in your head when you wake up. Even if it's about nargles in your socks or songs only you can hear. Morning Pages journal is actually a very good thing. It clears your head and boosts creativity. Sometimes the silliest morning thoughts turn into the most brilliant ideas later.
Harry Potter. I recommend a dream journal. I write down my dreams, especially the strange ones with Voldemort, or when I'm wandering the castle at night. It helps me make sense of them and sometimes spot patterns.
Dream journals help you notice symbols, emotions, or recurring themes that show up while you sleep. And some dreams are just worth remembering. I once had a dream. It was a snowy day with fluffy piles of snow covering everything. My house was made of gingerbread and decorated with those Christmas lights. And then I saw my childhood cat sitting in the snow, which looked colorful because of the lights. I remember thinking this must be a cat's heaven, because in reality he was no longer with us.
Rubius Hagrid. I love keeping a beautiful moments journal. I write down things like the first time I seen a baby dragon hatch, or a quiet night under the stars with Fang. All of them little magical moments that make life feel special.
That's actually very cute. Rereading this kind of journal feels like traveling back and reliving those moments. I actually have one of those journals, and I write down some cute moments or cozy moments or some beautiful moments I had. For example, eat French croissants and drink coffee in Café Odette in Paris. That was cute.
Fred and George Weasley. We keep a funny moments journal. All the jokes, pranks, and silly things our family does. Like Percy tripping over his broom, or Ginny hiding our extendable ears in the pudding. Mom doesn't approve though.
Funny moments journals are perfect for family memories, for your pets, or for your kids, or for, for your friends too, because we forget so many jokes. I have one of my own too. I write down some cute words we have in the family, silly words. It's just a gem. Sometimes when you read this journal and you remember some joke, you go to that person, and this person is just, how do you remember that? Because of that.
Neville Longbottom. I keep a gratitude journal. I write about little things I'm thankful for, like finding Trevor or when my plant finally bloomed. It helps me notice the good stuff, so I don't always feel like, why is it always me?
Gratitude journals train your brain to notice positives, and it really works. You don't have to write daily. Sometimes I like to write for a month or something, and it makes a difference.
Albus Dumbledore. I keep a self-reflection journal. I ask myself deep questions about my choices and feelings. For example, the day I visited Tom Riddle at the orphanage. These pages help me reflect on who I'm becoming.
This kind of journal is for self-reflection, analyzing your life, and I already mentioned about this before, and it's my favorite one. Minerva McGonagall. I keep a life lessons journal. I write down what I've learned from mistakes, successes, and challenges. It reminds me of the wisdom I've gained. Boom! Honestly, I would love to read McGonagall's journal. Reflecting on lessons makes sure you don't repeat the same mistakes twice. Lavender Brown. I keep an affirmations journal. I write things like, I'm lovely, clever, and brave, even if Ron forgets to notice. It makes me feel happier and more confident. And she is actually right, you don't have to wait for someone else's approval. Moaning Myrtle. I keep a mood journal. I write down when I feel lonely in the bathroom or when someone shouts at me. I try to figure out why and what might help. Mood journals are often a part of a therapy, and if you want to have a journal like that, I would recommend you to ask yourself questions like, what do I feel? Why do I feel like that? And what can I do to help me?
Severus Snape. I keep a shadow work journal. I write about fears, regrets, and the parts of myself I'd rather hide. It is unpleasant, but it forces me to face the truth.
Writing down about your darkest parts can bring comfort and peace. The moment you put them on paper, they are no longer hiding in the shadows inside you. Nymphadora Tonks. I keep a Feels Like Me journal. I scribble about my moods, favorite colors, silly doodles, and hair transformations. It's all the little things that make me me. This journal is perfect for exploring identity and personal aesthetics. Perfect if you want to understand who you are. I had one when I was a kid, and it's not reflecting me anymore because it's about my childhood things that I liked. I would glue here some favorite ice creams or favorite movies, interviews with different singers I enjoyed, also different recipes I liked. There would also be something like that. Manchester United. Avril Lavigne, she was my favorite singer. And if you don't know what's your favorite color, you probably don't know anything about you. So maybe you should dedicate a beautiful journal and glue there everything that is about you. I would say, this is my texture, this is my color, these are the songs I like. It's really satisfying to understand who you are. Petunia Dursley. I used to write letters to Lily, but I never sent them. I was too jealous and narrow-minded. Now it's too late, so I write them in a journal instead. It can release feelings that you couldn't say out loud. Even if you can't say those things to that person, sometimes just writing them down and not hurting someone can still make that shift and release angry or other bad emotions.
Draco Malfoy. I keep a secret journal, a place no one else can read. Not like the silly diaries my father or Potter could snoop in. No spell, not even Alohomora could unlock it.
He's probably just writing about his obsession with Hermione. I wouldn't judge. A private journal gives you complete honesty with yourself. Just make sure you have more powerful lock than this one. Or you can write your secrets in a tiny journal and then enchant them into your earrings. No one will ever figure out. Rita Skeeter. Oh darling, I adore questions. Date of birth, favorite color, darkest secret, my quick quotes quill records everything. Your friendship interview journal doesn't have to be scandalous, but it can be. Do you remember those types of journals? I used to have one at school. On the first page I would write, questions, and this one is actually a fancy one. It was already printed, and then I would give it to my friends to answer, and then to another friend. Rita Skeeter is annoying, yes, but she has a point. I was thinking about maybe making this journal as an adult, and it can be a whole new experience. I would ask same simple questions, but I would also ask a few deeper questions, for example about dreams or happiness. I would also add a few silly questions. It would be a nice way to know my neighbors or my community people better.
Gilderoy Lockhart. I absolutely adore a writing prompts journal. I write daring adventures I've had or might have had, and heroic poems about myself, about the greatest hero of all times.
Prompt journals are perfect for writing stories, poems, or just stretching your imagination. This piece of paper is actually my journal with my poems. It looks awful, but I treasure those poems so much. And since my cat is called Mooney, I will leave here my poem from 10 years ago. It's about moon, and I translated it so you can understand a little bit what it's about.
Arthur Weasley. I keep a brainstorming journal. I write down ideas for muggle gadgets, tinkering projects, or spells. Some are brilliant and some explode.
Idea journals capture little sparks before you forget them.
Argus Filch. I keep a junk journal. Scraps, lost and found, Mrs. Norris's furballs, notices, anything. It's messy, but it's mine.
Junk journal is a creative freedom. You can glue tickets, scraps, or anything that feels worth saving. Just maybe skip furballs. This one is my junk journal. It's actually not the junk journal because this is pieces of different journals, fashion journals, and I was arranging them in different themes. But they were junk because my mom would throw them anyway. So I was just cutting them and gluing in different topics. And I had so much fun doing it. So much fun.
Percy Weasley. I keep a goal journal. I write my goals, big and small, and track my progress. I may be a prefect now, but my ambition is the ministry.
Goal journals can actually help you to see the bigger picture and help anxious people like me relax because of that. And also, of course, it can help you stay focused and motivated. I like to decorate my journal with stickers, and if your journal needs a touch of magic, I have a beautiful sticker shop on Diagon Alley called Ozorowitch. You can enter it through Etsy portal. It's full of cozy stickers, perfect for pages like these. Dolores Umbridge. I keep a habit tracker. I never miss my tea times, punishments, or dust in my cat plates. Very tidy and efficient. Nobody likes Dolores, I get that. But the tool she's actually using is helping her to stick to her routine. It builds consistency. Just use them for self-care, not cruelty.
Ron Weasley. I keep an achievements journal. Like when I finally won a game of wizard chess, Quidditch match, or survived another adventure with my friends. It proves I'm not completely hopeless.
Writing down your victories, big or small, can actually boost your confidence. And if you're interested in the topic, I have a class dedicated to boosting your self-esteem. Here is the Time Turner link.
Charlie Weasley. I keep a travel journal. Notes, photos, tickets, funny stories, even dragon scales from Romania. Perfect for keeping memories alive.
Travel journals preserve details you would otherwise forget. I actually bought one journal for that purpose recently, but I didn't have time to fill it yet. I want to glue some images, some notes, some junk from trips, some stories from trips, some funny moments, everything I can think of. But I just didn't have time yet, and I was thinking that maybe we could do it together someday. I would print everything I had, and then we would gather together, and we would glue everything here. It's really beautiful. Like, You can see different pages here, but it's all empty and it's so sad that it's empty. I've been traveling for a while and have lots of memories, but they are, fading if I don't keep them in a journal. Hermione Granger. I keep a book journal. I write down notes on light reads, school texts, and the occasional restricted section book. Quotes, reflection, ratings, everything. Do you have this journal? No? Don't you to read? A book journal is like your personal library log. Of course, you can use the Goodreads for that purpose, but I like to have both. I actually don't write much here. I just like to write down the title and the author and then glue some stickers. That's it. And that's all the letters. I hope you enjoyed it. Which one would you start with? Please write in the comments. Before creating a journal, decide what's most important for you, aesthetics and beauty or math and truth. If you enjoy flipping through your journal later, enjoying the pages, enjoying the designs, fonts, you might consider aesthetics and beauty, but this would often mean less writing and more time decorating. Or maybe you prefer truth and math and you can focus on writing reflection without worrying about the neatness, crossing the words, making mistakes, writing freely anytime and a lot. And why I'm telling you about this? Because sometimes people start with idea of making beautiful journal and then they have a few rough, not very beautiful pages and then they think, this journal is ugly, but maybe it had to be ugly and true and full of ideas or full of thoughts. This kind of decision up front helps you later stay on track because you'll know what's your aesthetic. Also think about how often would you want to write, daily, weekly, or whenever the mood hits, and think about purpose. Is it for reflection, creativity, memory, motivation? You don't need a separate journal for everything. No, just one journal can combine multiple purposes if you want. There is no right or wrong way to do it. The most important thing is that it makes you want to write, or glue, or draw, or whatever you decide to do. For your homework, dear students, take some time to think about everything we talked about today about journals. If you feel inspired to start, you technically just need one journal, but from my experience, people who are into journaling often already have 10 blank journals. You just need to choose one from what you have and then light a candle, open a window to hear some rain, and start writing. The magic is in the process, not perfection. None of my journals is perfect. Share in the comments if you already have a journal or something inspired you here in this class. And if today's class warmed your heart even a little, tap like and subscribe. Class dismissed, dear students. Close your books, but keep your heart open.